One thing that's really difficult is that we have extremely unfair visa regulations all over the world, and this can make it very tough for people to cross borders. So you can come from one country where you're virtually free to enter anywhere, and then you might be from another country where you can practically not go anywhere. And this makes it difficult to collaborate with journalists in the same way to travel for stories. Journalism is a field that for a long time I think was kind of considered to be sort of competitive and full of lone wolves. That the idea that we have of who is a proper journalist is someone that really guards their sources and doesn't work with other people and works alone to investigate things. We're trying to change this image because we think that there are so many stories that go across borders and that require more than one person on them that it's really important to work on teams. I mean, we have access now to things like leaks and issues that are uncovered that impact many more people than just your local or domestic audience. So when you explain to journalists that when they collaborate that they can tell a story that has a much bigger reach and a much bigger impact, that's one aspect. The other thing is sometimes it's the only way to get the full story, that working by yourself simply can't cut it. And that as a third issue that can be something compelling is that it might give you access to different kinds of funding or different kinds of media markets. You might be able to get into a newspaper in another country that's bigger than your own audience, or you might be able to get a grant that is only applicable for people from another country that you team up with and have access to those funds as well. I really think that the best, most accurate, most textured stories are ones that are that cross borders and that tell the full story. I mean, of course, there are some local stories which are so local that they don't have a cross-border element, but stories like dealing with migration, climate change, corruption, they often cross borders. In fact, criminals know this. That's why they use so many different schemes to cover up their activities and go across borders, because they know that often the police are stuck in local jurisdictions. So we have to be like the criminals are if we want to uncover things that are going on. And the kind of corruption and criminal schemes that go all over the world, from one investment bank to another country's fake shell company to another country's politicians' pockets, it requires you to actually think like the criminals do and cross borders. First of all, I really think it's important to shed light on what investigative journalism can actually do, the impact that can have on a whole country. And this spot is an excellent example of how investigative journalism makes a big impact that can change the course of a country's history. But second of all, I think it's really important to bring journalists together and not always just to think about the downsides of our career, the lack of funding, the danger inherent in it, but also to consider the possibilities and the chances that are present with all of this renewed interest in uncovering the truth.